What about what Elon Musk has done to Twitter, lowering guardrails against misinformation? Does that contribute to it?
Yeah, it does. Look, one of the things, as I said to you, when I thought I wasn't going to run, I was going to write a book about the changes taking place. And most of it's directed over the years with these fundamental changes in society by changing technology. Mm-hmm. Gutenberg printing in the printing press changed the way Europeans could talk to one another, all the way to today. Where do people get their news? They go on the internet. They go online. They go, and you have no notion whether it's true or not.
This is my video update from Budapest, Hungary on this October 1st, Sunday morning. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with a deal in the U.S. Congress. There will be no government shutdown. They agreed to a deal which will keep the government open for another 45 days. A stopgap agreement which will keep the government open for 45 more days. And this gives Elensky 45 days to convince the United States to give him more money. Give me more money so I can buy some homes. I've got 45 days. That is basically what is going on. Let me read you a Telegram post from the channel Slaviangrad, and they're taking this post from the Ukraine Telegram channel Legitimy, which I believe has pretty good sources in and around the Ukraine government. This is what they said when this 45-day stopgap deal was announced by McCarthy. Zelensky has 45 days to convince the Americans, not with words, promises, but with deeds, that it is necessary to finance the Ukrainian crisis, since there is a real result and not an illusion created by the office of the president. During these 45 days, the following may occur: a full-scale offensive by the Ukrainian armed forces. Something will happen, tragic catastrophe, liquidation of someone, terrorist attack, international emergency. Zelensky will come to terms with the fact that it is necessary to freeze the conflict and will begin to gently sway public opinion and prepare for elections. Or finally, Ukraine will go on the defensive, throw mines at everything, and de facto it will be a frozen conflict. So those are, in summary, those are the four options that, according to this Ukrainian Telegram channel, Elensky has in front of him. 45 days. Which of the four options do you think Elensky and Elensky's handlers are going to opt for? Go on the offensive? I don't think that would turn out too well, given the fact that we're 4 months into the big super duper counteroffensive, and the last reports that I have seen is that Russia is actually now starting to gain back territory in and around Bakhmut, in and around this Rabotinya area. So the 4-month counteroffensive did not turn out well. So I don't know how good of an idea it would be for Ukraine to go on the offensive. Option number 2, something will happen, like a false flag, to get attention to the Elensky regime so he can ask for more money. Maybe the ZMPP, maybe they'll bring that up again. The Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, maybe they'll start to talk about that again. That always seems to be a good way for Elensky to raise funds. Option number 3 was Zelensky's going to agree to the Sullivan-Blinken freeze, and he's going to slowly nudge the Ukrainian public in the direction of some sort of a negotiation. But remember what Lavrov said. Lavrov the other day, he said that there's going to be no ceasefire. Russia's always open to negotiations, but substantive negotiations with a meaning, negotiations that accept the reality on the ground, but there will be no ceasefire. So that's the third option. And the fourth option was Ukraine pulls back and goes on the defensive, which, to be fair, many Ukraine military commanders, they have been telling Elensky from the very beginning not to go forward with the big super duper counteroffensive and to create defensive positions. But Elensky and Elensky's handlers, they didn't want that, because Elensky and his entire administration and his handlers, they're a bunch of theater actor puppets, and they wanted this big cinematic super duper offensive that would break through the Russian defenses as the Russians ran away and would reach the Sea of Azov. And that was what they had on their minds, the big cinematic 5-day victory to the Sea of Azov. So those are the options. An interesting post from Legitimy. There are reports coming out of the US, actually coming out of Matt Gaetz, I believe, tweeted this, that yes, the bill passed. I didn't mention this in the beginning of the video. You see, it's early morning and my mind is not quite there yet. I haven't had a coffee yet. But yeah, the 45-day stopgap bill that avoided the government shutdown, Ukraine was not included in this stopgap funding. So Ukraine was not included in any of this. And Matt Gaetz, he tweeted that perhaps, not perhaps, it looks like McCarthy told Biden that on the side, they'll figure out a way to get money to Ukraine. The 6.4 billion and then the 24 billion, or the 24 billion minus the 6.4 billion. Matt Gaetz tweeted that McCarthy is making deals with Biden on the side. So Biden signed the stopgap resolution. It's called a CR, a continuing resolution. Biden signed it, but Biden was plenty upset that Ukraine wasn't included in this resolution. But McCarthy pulled Biden to the side and said, "Look, Professor Joe, we'll get money to our favorite grift, which is Ukraine. We'll get that money to Ukraine." And Matt Gaetz kind of tweeted at that. I forgot what he tweeted, but I'll put it up on the screen. Something like McCarthy's engaged in some deceit, or he's going to double cross us, or something like that. Anyway, that is the situation with the stopgap continuing resolution, the funding for Ukraine, and all of that stuff. Let's walk under the bridge, as the Red Hot Chili Peppers famously sang. Some dripping water here. Right. Got a little wet, no problem. I've got my Duran hoodie. The hoodie always saves the day. Sunglasses are all wet though, anyway. Okay, so what should we discuss next? How about the UK? The UK's new defense minister, Mr. Grant Shapps? Grant Shapps. He said that the UK is ready to deploy troops in Ukraine. He said that it's time for the UK to start training Ukrainian troops in Ukraine. Like in Ukraine, let's get some British troops there on the ground so they can train the Ukraine military. He also said something about sending UK warships into the Black Sea in order to protect Elensky's grain from this new corridor that Elensky's cooked up, which hugs the shoreline of Romania. The UK said that they're going to get their ships in there to protect this corridor. Something tells me that this is exactly what Russia wants. I don't know. Something tells me that the Russian military is saying, oh, yeah, come right on in here. Come right on in here, UK trainers. Come right on in. Russian warships, of course, UK warships, of course, for the warships to get into the Black Sea, Turkey. I believe Turkey would have to give them permission. Is that correct? I think I'm right in saying that. Any warships that were to enter the Black Sea would have to pass by Turkey, and Turkey would have to give them permission. So Erdogan would have to give them permission. I don't think Erdogan would. And if Erdogan would entertain the proposition of allowing UK warships to enter the Black Sea, boy, is Erdogan going to extract a lot of stuff from the collective West in order to approve such a thing. But I don't see it as a possibility. But who knows? Maybe that will happen. But either way, something tells me that this is playing right into Russia's hands. You know that if there are UK warships or UK trainers and commanders and let's be honest, UK soldiers openly, like in Ukraine on the ground, you know that the Russians are going to they're going to put a big reward for the annihilation of the UK military. I'm just being honest here. So if I was the UK, if I was this new defense minister who took over for Ben Wallace, if I was him, I would not do this. Don't do this. This is a dumb move, and you're playing right into Russia's hands. You're playing right into their hands, man. But they just can't help themselves. No reverse gear. They are in panic. They don't know what to do because Project Ukraine is crumbling. The big super duper counteroffensive has failed. Once again, we are 4 months into the big super duper counteroffensive. And it's now not even a big super duper counteroffensive. It's a long, long war. It's going to be a long, long war. That's the new line that they are feeding us. And Elensky, he's talking up how Ukraine is going to be the next Silicon Valley, the Silicon Valley of arms production. Elensky gave a speech, I believe, yesterday, and he talked up how Ukraine is making deals with all of these defense contractors, and they're creating these deals and this coalition. Ukraine and like all the big MIC companies, they're like in one big partnership, and they're just going to manufacture like weapons nonstop in Ukraine, inside of Ukraine. So you're going to have UK trainers in Ukraine. You're going to have UK warships in Ukraine. You already have a whole bunch of mercenaries in Ukraine, and now you're going to have weapons production facilities in Ukraine. You're going to have Rheinmetall and all the big ones. I don't know, Lockheed and Raytheon. I don't know. Let's just say all the big ones. They start building facilities in Ukraine, and you're going to have the MIC Silicon Valley of the world is going to be in Ukraine, and the Russians are going to sit back and accept it. They're just going to be totally cool with it. No Iskanders, no Kalibr missiles, nothing like that. No drones, nothing like that is going to target those facilities. No. Nope, they're just going to let them be, and they're going to let them pump out tanks and missiles and ammunition, and everything's going to be great. And the Ukraine economy is going to boom because it's going to be the Silicon Valley of weapons productions, and the venture capitalists will come in, and the BlackRocks and the Vanguard and all of these guys, and it's going to be good times, according to Elensky. It's nonsense, man. It is nonsense. How they cooked up this narrative about weapons manufacturing production facilities in Ukraine. The scriptwriter strike is over, isn't it? The scriptwriter strike has ended. I believe it has ended. And here they are. They've come up with this one. This is a good one. This is a good one to extract money, more money, from the citizens of the collective West to keep the grift going. Give us money because we're going to build factories and facilities in Ukraine. So we need 20 billion. We need 30 billion. We need 50 billion. The EU, I read the other day that the EU is already sending money from their Peace Stability Fund, I think it's called. It's actually the Warmonger Fund, but they call it like the Peace Stability Fund. And 7 countries have already applied to provide weapons to the EU, and the EU will then provide the weapons to Ukraine. And the countries that do this, that empty their own stockpiles, will get money from the European Union. So I mean, it's this whole grift, man. It is just one big freaking grift, and it takes us right back to Congress, and why there are so many people in the House and in the Senate that want to get 20 billion to Elensky, 24 billion, 100 billion, because 10%. I'm just putting a number out there. 10% of that 20 billion, that's theirs. That's coming right back to them. That is the easiest money that these politicians are ever going to make. That's why they're going crazy trying to get this money to Elensky. All right, let's see here. I am definitely winging it this morning. I was going to get a coffee, and then I was going to kind of prepare for the video, just kind of read some stories, maybe put some things together, bookmark some web pages, some Twitter, some X. It's not Twitter. Some X posts. I always say Twitter tweets. Some X posts, and then I said, you know what? It's such a nice morning. Let me just do the video without much preparation. And I think I covered most everything. I'm just looking at some websites that I have here. Okay, we have the German. Who is this person? The Bundestag Defense Committee head, Marie Agnes Strack-Zimmermann. She urged Olaf Scholz to give Kiev Taurus rockets. Ukraine can use German missiles to attack Russia, according to the Bundestag Defense Committee head. Okay. Give over the Taurus, Olaf. Just give it over. We know you're going to give those Taurus missiles to Elensky. Just give them. He's just waiting for the ATACMS. Once the ATACMS go, Olaf is going to send the Taurus missiles. But boy, this Bundestag Defense Committee head, she is foaming at the mouth to attack the Russians, huh? Be very careful what you wish for, Germany. Be very, very careful. Let's do one more story, and we'll head back to the U.S. for our clown world. And I want to find the quote here from Dmitry Medvedev. Let's see. Give me 1 second to search for it. See, usually I have everything nice and organized, nice and bookmarked, and I'm ready to go, but now I'm kind of searching around. Here we go. Russia will gain more new regions, according to Dmitry Medvedev. Russia will add even more new regions to its territory, former Russian President Medvedev said on the first anniversary of the country's unification with the People's Republic of Donetsk and Lugansk, and Zaporozhye and Kherson. The residents of the 4 territories took part in referendum a year ago and made the decision to be with their fatherland, Medvedev wrote on his Telegram channel on Saturday. This choice became a symbol not only for the restoration of historical justice, but also of the unity of the Russian people, their colossal will and dedication. Speaking about the ongoing fighting in Ukraine, Medvedev, who now holds the position of deputy head of Russia's Security Council, insisted that Moscow's military operation would continue until the current regime in Kiev is destroyed and the original Russian territories are liberated from the enemy. Victory will be ours, and there will be more new regions within Russia, the former president wrote. Now, the past couple of days, past couple of weeks actually, we have seen videos come out from, now I don't know if this is the Russian Defense Ministry or if it's a group associated with the Russian army, but we've seen videos come out, commercials come out which show the Russian military taking Odessa. We've seen a commercial come out which show the Russian military taking Kiev. And I think these are recruitment videos, recruitment commercials, if I'm not mistaken. And then the other day, one second here, let me open up my X messages, profile, and where do I go? And then the other day, we had a commercial which talked about the Russian military moving past the Dnieper as a goal. So we're getting all of these commercials from the Russian military or something associated with the Russian military, and they are signaling at the Russians taking Odessa, taking Kiev, and moving past the Dnieper as the goal. And now you have this comment from Medvedev, this Telegram post from Medvedev. We've heard similar statements from Shoigu, from Lavrov. It seems like the entire Russian government, the entire hierarchy, they're all on the same page now. Either capitulate and we negotiate on realistic terms, which saves Ukraine, but acknowledges the realities on the ground, and also sets up a new security architecture in Europe. That means no more NATO. NATO gets rolled back. That's the first option. The second option that is coming from the entire Russian government. If they don't take up the first option, the second option is complete and total defeat. Ukraine defeat, Ukraine no more, and a NATO defeat, NATO no more. And here you have the UK. They hear these statements. They should heed these warnings. They should take these warnings seriously. But what does the UK do? The UK says, let's poke the bear some more. Let's actually send troops. Let's send troops into Ukraine. Let's send trainers, at least. Let's send trainers, right? Trainers. Let's send them into Ukraine, and let's try to get a warship into the Black Sea. That's the UK's response. And the UK is thinking, we all know what they're thinking. They're thinking, we'll go in there, we'll antagonize the Russians. The Russians will mess up, and maybe they'll attack us or do something, and that'll get NATO in. That'll get NATO in. But the Russians are always going to be 10 steps ahead. I think they want the UK to make this move, and they've been prepared for it. And I think they know how to hit at the UK. If the UK does make this move into Ukraine, I think the Russians know how to hit at the UK while not getting NATO involved. So anyway, let's do a clown world here. And this clown world, we head back to Congress, and we talk about, what is this, fire alarm gate now? Is this what we're going to call this? Hashtag fire alarm gate? Because we had the House rep, Jamal Bowman, I believe is his name. He pulled the fire alarm in order to prevent the voting of this 45-day stopgap resolution. That is the narrative. The narrative is that they interrupted a session of Congress, or Jamal Bowman intentionally pulled a fire alarm in order to interrupt a session of Congress so as to prevent this stopgap resolution from being passed. That is crazy if it's true. And there's photos of him pulling the fire alarm, and he came out with a statement. He said, no, that's not what happened. Actually, I wanted to vote and I was in a rush to vote. And I think he was in a different building. To be honest, I don't even think he was in the main building. He was in his office in a different building, but he's like, I wanted to get to the vote. So I was rushing to get there, and I couldn't open the door. And I thought that this fire alarm lever would open the door. I don't know how believable that is. I mean, I've seen those fire alarm, levers. They don't really look like doorknobs. I don't know. Just saying. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the fire alarm was right next to the doorknob and maybe they misplaced the stickers or something. Maybe the sticker for the doorknob said fire alarm and for the fire alarm it said doorknob. I don't know. Maybe, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, that's his excuse. Either way, you have the Republicans now saying that, we should charge Mr. Bowman for doing the same thing that the January Sixers did, right? They're interrupting a session of Congress. They're trying to prevent the work of Congress from happening. And so this is serious stuff. And it is serious stuff. And if this wasn't a mistake, and he actually did pull the fire alarm in order to prevent the vote from happening, in order to delay the stopgap resolution vote from passing, because Ukraine wasn't included in this resolution, well, then that tells you everything, doesn't it? That tells you how important it is for everybody in Congress, those people that support the war effort in Ukraine, how important it is for them, because we're talking about their paychecks. So, they're very invested in Project Ukraine. Maybe not their paychecks. We're talking about their big bonuses. This is about them getting big bonuses when they approve more war. And the Ukraine war has been a huge cash windfall for many, many people in the U.S. government and the military industrial complex. So that's the clown world. That's the video, everybody. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and Twitter X. And go to the Duran shop. 10% off. Use the code. Good day. Take care.